So what I want to talk about is kind of how we approach product development as a whole at the Washington Post. Like up front, we develop a philosophy. So as journalistic organization, we thought, okay, this bots platform, this excitement, the wave of it, basically it needed some laws to it because we didn't want to put out like false information, and it's got a long ways to go. It's young, so we should like kind of set a foundation. So I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. Love Isaac Asimov, and if you've ever seen, it's actually not a super great interpretation, but I, Robot with Will Smith. It's all about the 3 laws of robotics, where basically like robots aren't supposed to kill you until they try to kill you. Hopefully a conversational journalism bot will never try to kill you. So I developed basically 3 quick laws. I wrote about this on Medium. You can find it pretty easily. I'm not going to read them for interest of time. But they're pretty kind of spot on to kind of the laws of robotics, which is we don't want to spread false information. A human, it should follow what a human journalist tells it to do, unless it tells it to spread false information. Also, you always got to start at 0. Many programmers know that it actually starts at 0. So this is actually 3. Well, we did a lot of experiments in bots. Trey and I actually talked about bots a ton over many adult sodas. And we're very excited about it because it's just this great, simple experience, and technology is getting so much better for it. Like AI is getting better, big data is more accessible, as John was alluding to. So we knew we wanted to try a bunch of things and see what's out there, because it's kind of hard to have a ton of successes when you're like on the bleeding edge. So I'm only going to go over like 3 bots, which are kind of our favorite, but we actually have, I think we have almost 100 bots, actually. Like 99% of them are internal, though. So this is our most successful reader-facing bot. It's called the Feels bot. So about 30 days prior to the US presidential election, if you opted into it on our politics Facebook page, we would message you in the morning or in the evening and ask you how you felt about the election. And it was just like 5 emoji responses from like super angry to happy. And we would curate all that. And then in the morning, we would show you a graph, basically, of how people were feeling. We knew that we had to have a cadence in alerting people, but not annoying people, because we'd already built a bot before that was just a general news bot, which didn't do very well, which we figured would happen. Even though there's, I don't know, a billion people in Facebook Messenger, I don't think anyone's built a bot that has that many users. So this was really fun to work on, and it was moderated, curated by a human. It had a low user count, like less than like 10,000 people, but the engagement, meaning people actually answer the question every day for 30 days, was greater than 65%, because it's simple. It asks you a simple question. It was a very charged election, and if you ask people how they feel, turns out they'll tell you, which is great. So we generate these kind of like social cards from it and highlight a few, some of the best responses. So we'd share them, say on Twitter. We put them up on our site. We generated these kind of little graphics out of it that were really fun. And we did this every day for 30 days, which is a great exercise. Empathy is a powerful driver in conversation. Other thing is we call it our Virality Oracle. Is a Slack bot and a Slack channel. This public channel inside the Post that is powered by a really amazing algorithm from our data science team that from the second that a story is published, it starts monitoring it, and it knows within the first 30 minutes of publishing if it's basically going to be viral. It's really popular. Like viral is like kind of loaded word. And it notifies the channel, and we can look at it to go in and maybe add something to the story, already start writing off of it a little bit. And we get about 3 to 5 stories like this in a day. And then it also models out a 24-hour traffic window. And then the bot also emails us a digest. So we can see like life cycle of stories, which is really just a bot as a tool. So it's like a service bot or utility bot. This is very handy. So this is actually the data behind the bot, which I'm not going to go into super detail on, but we can nerd out about it later if you want to. So this is our prediction model that is taking all these data points as this bot is just like eating and just like gobbling up. And then we ran it for a long time, almost a year, actually, of machine learning to get really accurate. And we ran on every story, published about 300 stories a day. And we found we'd add in like a new metric, and it would get a little better. And over time, now we're about 80% competency rate. This is everyone's favorite, though, is the MartyBot. So Marty Barron, who is our editor, that's Marty's picture up there. It is not actually Marty. So this is tied into our web or kind of publishing scheduling system called WebSched. And whenever a reporter starts a story, they actually put in when they plan to publish it. So what is the deadline, which can always be changed. If there's actually a bunch of other stuff it does, but which is really intimidating. So if you're behind, as these poor people are, it will tell you like, hey, you've either really close to your deadline or you've missed your deadline, and it personally messages you. It doesn't like shame you in a channel or anything. And it's really funny when it messages Marty, which I think has maybe happened once. So this is a pretty cool thing too. It's called Heliograph, which is another kind of way to think of a bot. It's not a conversational bot, but it takes in data points from a feed and basically can craft stories. Very simple, short stories based on templates. Anybody ever play like Mad Libs? You like put in like a noun, pick an adjective, whatever. This is kind of what that does. So we use this for Olympics and elections. So we published a story on every single Olympic event because of Heliograph. And then for elections, we posted a story on every single race in the US on election night and generated newsletters, generated tweets, it powered this thing. And we did all sorts of fun stuff from it. So it was like a bot that was helping us do better journalism. But as John was talking about, audio bots are super, super huge right now. Amazon doesn't call Alexa a bot, even though like pieces of it inside are a bot. They like to refer to it as like it's an operating system as audio AI. And that's the Echo and the Google Home. Our politics flash briefing was one of our fastest growing products last year. We caught the wave like just right. There's a reason that they're out of stock on Amazon all the time. They're actually outselling a lot of their other hardware. Jeff Bezos, our owner, is like personally driving this roadmap, which also gives you an indicator of how successful it is. And it's super fun. But what we're thinking about in bots and kind of how it plays into your day-to-day life and your habit is like bots can do very simple tasks. Like it shouldn't do everything because then you've got a lot of cognitive overheads, a lot of work. Sometimes you don't know what to ask a bot, other than like, what's the news? So we're thinking about like that, the future's here. Like you can build these things. And actually now there's a lot of tools you can build them pretty easily. Amazon has a tool called Lex, which point and click, you can build a pretty robust bot without any code. So, I mean, the future's here. It's just it's not evenly distributed. Just as a quote from William Gibson, who's another science fiction writer. And I think this is like super true for bots, totally. Like bots again aren't totally new. They're just getting more accessible. It's almost becoming a household name. So we think bots can like fill all these spaces between platforms, like on different platforms, but also they kind of like fill in these gaps a little bit, like between things. Like a bot could, notify you to catch you up on where you left off in a story while you were listening to it on the train into work, and you sit down at your desktop, and it's like, hey, buddy, here's where you were in that story. And like it like fills that space a little bit. This is what we're starting to work on a lot right now. We're calling it like a handoff bot. So pretty exciting. I'm really excited for the next couple speakers. I remember like bringing this up in the newsroom. Nobody really understood it. Why would we do this? And then especially when you do the first one and it gets like 5 people that use it, you're like, oh, we got to keep doing it. We got to keep doing it. And it turns out that you learn a lot from experimenting. And when things are really simple and really hard, it's very attractive to a designer and a product person. So we'll be iterating on bots for a long time to come. Thank you.